U.S. Capitol Police say that they are investigating a report that Republican Congressman Andy Harris of Maryland tried to bring a gun onto the House floor. Why?
Why?
Why? During a vote yesterday, police stopped Harris at security. A security official present tells NBC News he saw the firearm on Harris and told his superiors. New metal detectors were ordered by House Speaker Nancy Pelosi after the deadly riot at the Capitol. They have become a flashpoint among some Republican members and have at times created tension with police. HuffPost reports Harris attempted to get another member to take the gun from him so he could go vote. The member told Harris he didn't have a license.
What's the guy
and refused
carrying
to hold the weapon
gun
for him.
around for?
Harris then left on the elevator and 10 minutes later returned to the House chamber. He placed his cell phone and keys on a desk to the side, did not set off the magnetometer, and was allowed to enter the House floor to vote. The Capitol official added that House members are allowed to carry firearms in the halls on Capitol grounds, including the Capitol building, but not the floor, adding that ammo has to be separately compartmentalized.
Okay.
Harris' office released a statement saying that the congressman has been threatened.
Yeah, we all have.
And never confirms that he's carrying a firearm.
Really, the stupidity is just extraordinary. And by the way, I'm speaking as somebody that's done this, that's made thousands and thousands of votes.
You haven't done this. You haven't brought a gun.
No. But I've been there and I voted. And Casey, as long as Josh Hawley and Ted Cruz and Donald Trump aren't trying to get Americans to kill Nancy Pelosi and kill Mike Pence and commit insurrection against the United States of America, you know, you've been up there, Casey knows, there are Capitol Hill cops everywhere. It's more secure than ever for this guy and for others to think they're going to be able to carry a gun onto the House floor when we have Republican members of Congress that have had fundraising letters that show pictures of AOC and other Democrats while the Republican is holding an AR-15 and saying, I'm coming to target these women, they better watch out, or something along those lines. Who the hell would be comfortable with anybody having a gun on the House floor?
Yeah, I mean,
Joe, the House floor was... Sorry, Kathy, go ahead.
Go ahead, Casey.
The House floor was the safest place in Washington.
That's where I'm going to go. Hold on a second. We're going to start with a person who has a name that starts with a K. Just joking. Go ahead, Casey. You go first.
Okay. Sorry about that. I mean, it was the safest place in Washington, the House floor, until January 6th, when it was Republicans who helped incite this mob led by President Donald Trump that went in there in the first place. And some of the members of the House have suggested that this is the right way to remedy things. And that's why there are magnetometers. And, also, Joe, I would say Republicans are making a big deal about being on the side of the cops here. There have been some altercations between Republican members who don't want to get wanded going onto the House floor and the Capitol Police, who are just trying to do their jobs and keep everybody safe. So, I mean, there are a lot of problems with all of this.
I mean, and they're whining, Caddy, 2 weeks, a little over 2 weeks after their lives are in danger. And these guys are being whining about being wanded before they go onto the House floor. Who the hell do they think they are?
I mean, it's kind of, libertarianism at its most absurd extreme, right? We are never going to have the government tell us what to do with our weapons. And it's a show. Andy Harris isn't really going to go in there and defend anybody, let alone himself, by thinking that he can take a gun onto that. What do you think he's going to do by taking a gun onto the House floor? If there's another insurrection, is he going to be the guy that defends the rest of the members of Congress? No, he's doing this for his electors, his voters back home, who are diehard Trump supporters, some of them, and he is showing that he is still fighting. I mean, it's echoes of that rally that was outside the White House that started all of this. This is what this feels like. It's like we're going to show the liberals, we're going to show that we're still fighting, and we're going to make some kind of, frankly, absurd gesture of trying to take a gun onto the House floor.
Hey, thanks so much for watching our YouTube channel. You can follow up on today's top stories and breaking news, or catch up on your favorite MSNBC shows all in one place. Download the NBC News app today.